We could steal practically anything because it was just unheard of stealing, shoplifting abroad in Europe. No one did it. The money underneath the till was astronomical. Grands. We basically robbed nearly every fucking shop in Holland. Petty crime had been going on since I was in nappies. It was all do or dare, everyone just stole. You had to go in a shop, if you come out with nothing, you was probably out the firm. And this is how I really started getting into what we called grafting, which is really shoplifting. A grafter is someone who doesn't want to work 9 to 5 but isn't lazy. He's an entrepreneurial thief. He just doesn't want to pay for anything. We had a motto: to pay was to fail. And a lot of people would say I followed my older brother Colin, but Colin was pretty much in your face, you know, just took what he wanted. We tended to sneak around. Eventually all these street thieves, we all got our act together. Like I said, we went out in 2s and 3s, we go to garden centres where tills were unattended. But the funny thing, the first till I did in a garden centre, it was a big wooden drawer, and as I pulled it out, it was so old, it fell to pieces. All the cash was on the fucking floor. So eventually Colin was going abroad. We thought, why don't we go abroad? And everyone's, oh, where's that, where's this? It's abroad, where's abroad, what's abroad? We thought it was a town. You know, didn't even think it was Europe. We obviously went to Amsterdam because even at 16 we were all smoking joint. Me and my mate ended up in a wool shop. And I've always said it, what are two lads from England doing in a wool shop? Simply underneath the till, got 500 guilders, which in them days, I was only 17, it's like £150. The average wage was £20 in England. Then we started buying little cheap cars going out. And it was just basically going around, you could do 1,000 shops a day. We went to Austria, then we went to Switzerland, Germany, Belgium, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg. As a rule, we didn't bother with major cities, they were more clued up. But the villages were great, so easy, it was pathetic. A few years into it and we were really targeting jewellers for Rolexes. You know, you're talking 30 Rolexes, even if you did it at scraps, there's £30,000. We'd travel for 3 or 4 hours for the Rolex jobs. And if they never happened, we'd just work our way back. And that would be just ad hoc. But we go in jewellers again, we'd just see a window, we'd say, right, there's a nice window full of gold. Gold, yeah, we'd all say, yeah. It become actually an art. When someone comes in a shop and disappears out of eyesight, everything's safe, it's locked up. But they don't know we've got the keys. We looked all over the place and the keys were next door in a shop and they've got theirs wares in a cabinet with exactly the same key in a jewellery shop. So we used to collect all these keys. We'd get into jewellers sometimes where you'd open a safe, there'd just be trays and trays and trays and trays of rings. That's how we were living. We were lived for the moment. None of us expected to reach old age, I'm afraid. It was funny because we had Spud, who was smaller than me, and then we had John McGee, his name was, who was a really big guy and he used to cover us all the time. But John McGee would have 6 Heinekens in the car before he went out. He was a heroin taker. Once you're into heroin, we found out they were only taking a little bit so they could get through the day, so they weren't out their heads, they knew what they were doing. So John McGee was a character. Colin was a live wire. He just wanted to rob from every single shop he went in. And someone told us, he said, you know, the police are watching you. And we thought nothing of it at the time because we could easily lose the police, you know, with all the canals in Amsterdam. We had no fear of the police at all. I first got arrested in a place called Leiden, which is about 30 kilometres out of Amsterdam. That was on a baker's robbery, which I'm not proud to say, but you snatch cash outside the banks. In about 3-4 days, it's the usual, it wasn't me, you got the wrong man, and they've had to let me go. And they said, yeah, Interpol want to work with you. And I'd thought nothing of it. I ordered a taxi. I could feel someone following me. Just as you're coming into Amsterdam, I said, taxi driver, that'll do me. And I just fucking ran. Yeah, because I knew I'd been followed from Leiden. And that night we're in a club. It's called the Roxy. Everyone's on ecstasy at this time. It's about 1987. I don't think we should be in the club tonight, lads. So we've gone out of the club, jumped in a taxi, drove past them, so we're giving it that then. And that's when we first got the inkling that it was Interpol and not the police. After 15, 20 years of hearing English, they put a dossier together on us. About 1987, I got stopped in Holland. We've been following you, I said, I know you've been following us, but you're not very good at it. But eventually they put about 5 or 6 of us in jail. And it wasn't the exposure, it was just the time was up. Security had moved on. Cameras were starting to appear in the shops. CCTVs on the streets.
And this is the kind where you think that the days are numbered. In the end, I got just 18 months, which even I thought was ridiculous. I thought I was looking at 5 years. But the jewellers we never got done for.